Has your fantasy season so far been a total and complete stinker? Well, it's not too late to turn it around and still have some fun. Don't worry about that team that has 2 wins or that team that has 3 wins and has no chance of making the playoffs. Still compete in your league because that's good sportsmanship. But instead, join Underdog Fantasy, a proud sponsor of the Fantasy Couriers. You can do daily, weekly drafts for single games or for multiple games. You can also join the Pick'em contest where you can choose, will a player get higher or lower? Will Josh Allen get higher than 273.5 yards or will he get lower? The options are endless. There is so much fun to be had with Underdog Fantasy Sports. Join now with the code Couriers and your deposit will be matched. Plus, you'll support an amazing, awesome podcast. Speaking of which, now on to the show.
What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Lucky week 13. One more week of the regular season if your league is set up correctly. And then some people are going to really stop listening to us because they're going to be done. But hey, if you listen to us, don't stop in the off season. We don't stop. We will, I'm guessing probably around Christmas, just because of the way times fall, we'll start going to 1 podcast a week. So we'll have stuff every week for you. We don't stop. We can make up stuff. You got stuff you want us to talk about? We keep going 52 weeks a year, even.
I have been watching, I've been trying. It's really hard. I've been working on it. But I have been watching some college game film so I can try to break down these players a little better than what I have in the past. So, I mean,
I'm trusting you,
I
man.
I really don't see much. I mean, it looks like they're just out there killing it. But, I mean, I'll give it my best. Well, we can maybe dive in because we got a lot of time to kill. So, I mean, maybe we can try to dive into these college kids a little more than we have in the past.
I told you, I see that to you, man. There's too much NFL to know, and all the college kids that look good, they're playing against college kids that are bad, and they just kick the living crap out of them. Or, I memean, we could do a whole episode today on what the heck happened with the championship game.
Sorry, Devonta Smith just got plowed. Sorry.
Yeah, we're recording here early. I want to see if I can see my wife and kid.
No, that was DeAndre Swift just got plowed.
Oh, sorry. No, not that. That can't. Is he okay?
I don't know. He looks like he's hurt.
We can't add this to this whole show. I think I'm going to call this show Ouchies, Ouchies and Boom Booms.
That's definitely a good name.
Oh yeah, I need to write that down so I don't forget it. Ouchies and Boom Booms, because that's sort of what this week has been.
Yeah, there's been a lot of injuries, a lot of good games. I mean, it's been pretty crazy. There's a lot of injuries.
Yeah, we're coming down. So how many teams do you have this year, JJ?
I think I ended up with 9. I think not 10. I think I ended up with 10.
So how are you gonna? How's your what's your playoff chances looking like?
I mean, I feel like it's 500 at this point. I'm really coming on late with a couple dynasty leagues. I got a couple redrafts that are bad, a couple redrafts that are good, but it's like 50-50, just like you.
I mean, it's funny. Like fantasy is such a crapshoot that you think we have some teams that we thought would be good that are just terrible, and sometimes it's just injuries. I mean, think of us Nick Chubb owners. I was looking great to start the year. I had Nick Chubb, Saquon, thinking with those 2 guys I could roll through. Now next week I think I have to beat you in order to make the playoffs. It's that bad. Like it's sometimes
I mean, that's how it goes sometimes, man. I mean, even experts like us struggle, dude.
We make the big bucks. But enough about our banter. Let's get into the week.
Pleasure
and pain. This is getting more fun as my hair grows. I understand why you have long hair. It's just fun to let it
I've been there.
Bounce around.
But it gets old after a while, trust me. But so starting off on Thursday, it was pretty much all pleasure Thursday, just points galore. Cowboys almost blow it. Dak continues to kill it. Top QB option. CD Lamb continues to kill it. Pollard, another good game. DK had an absolutely monster game with the 3 touchdowns. So to just put DK's had a solid season, does this put DK back in the conversation as a wide receiver one, or is he still like that, like higher wide receiver two?
I think he's still that high wide receiver too. 1 week does not a season truly make. Like he's had some poops.
It
He's
can in
had
fantasy.
yeah, it can. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna his year stats are gonna look spectacular with this. And if I could play against DK another gajillion times, like I can't imagine the number of teams that I'm against this week that have DK and CD Lamb on them is ridiculous. I looked up, I was like, why did this guy have 40? Oh my gosh, what? DK Metcalf, like he's been the definition of mediocrity this year. Like he hasn't been he's had a couple duds, but he hasn't like murdered you. But he hasn't done this for teams.
Yeah, he's been like that. He's been like that consistent wide receiver two that everybody needs on their team.
Then on that team, they're gonna have two
Running,
twos. So with
yeah.
JSN jumping
So
up,
we got Zach Charbonnet. One of obviously the best game so far this year. I've been hesitant to start him because I've been waiting for a decent fantasy scoring game. So does this put Charbonnet in the mix as like a flex option going next week, or are you still waiting?
if Kenneth Walker's out, sure. If Kenneth Walker's in, I mean that's why he's getting the touches.
Well, yeah.
He still, I mean, he still wasn't. I mean, he still had 3.2 per carry, but it's Dallas' defense. So, I mean, I'd play him. I'd consider him for a running back too. If you're a running back getting every carry on your team, you're definitely should be started. Like if you're getting 20 touches, any professional player getting 20 touches could burst one through. And I mean, he didn't look spectacular. This is his best game because he had a touchdown and a really beautiful catch. But yeah, this game, I knew the Dallas points would look like that. That's Seattle's side. Wow.
Yeah, Geno Smith came back to life there for a second. All right, switching over to the Sunday games. The first game we got the Colts winning against the Titans. Turned out to be a pretty good game. Levis was slinging it a couple times. D Hop had a good game. But I want to talk about Michael Pittman here. We always talk about following the targets. This guy is an absolute target monster at the moment. He's had over 8 catches in the last 5 games, 5 of the last 6. Touchdowns are lacking a little bit. That's kind of like the only thing we're kind of missing, but he did get one today. He has like, I think 4 for the season. So does this put Michael Pittman as that wide receiver one option if we're following the targets here? Because he's been a really, really solid.
He'd be above DK for me because he's, you know, I mean, the other guy on the team that had the money game this week was Pierce, and Pierce hasn't done diddly poo this year. I mean, or Kylan Granson. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Josh Downs you thought was a threat, but he didn't do poop. So, like Pittman, yeah, Pittman has come on really strong recently. The beginning, if I recall, the beginning of the season wasn't super strong, and then he's come on a lot recently. So for the rest of the season, yeah, I would love to have me some Pittman on my team. I mean, 16 targets. That's fringe wide receiver one as long as he does something with it.
He's at like double-digit targets every game. We're talking 12, 13, 14. If that's what it's going to be, I mean, that's just amazing. Finally, this is what I kind of wanted. Yeah, this is kind of what I wanted Michael Pittman like earlier, and it's finally fallen into that row. So the first pain of the day here, I'm going to go Derrick Henry. It's kind of like a pleasure and pain because we finally got a good Derrick Henry game, 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he did get the concussion. I feel like he was kind of knocked out as soon as he kind of went limp, hit the ground. So he is concussed. Maybe we're looking at next week when sometimes, get a concussion, we're out at least a week. Say he is out. Are we confident that Tajay Spears can jump in and feel like a flex or maybe an RB2 role?
It's Miami next week. And Brian Robinson didn't look terrible until he got hurt and Gibson got some yards. So, I mean, I think Tajay Spears he had 16 for 75 this week. Probably something comparable, but the way the Dolphins defense is rolling, I wouldn't be confident in either of them, to be honest. Henry looked great, but I mean, that's what they got. To beat the Dolphins, you got to run. So I'd play Tajay Spears. I'd be more comfortable with him as a flex, yeah. And I mean, I think Henry would be out. Is probably out a week. Well, I thought that again. Then about who was it the other week? The Vikings. Was it Addison maybe? And he ended up playing. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right. Falcons Jets. Not really a whole lot here. The Jets were terrible. Breece Hall was bad. Of course, Garrett Wilson was bad. Everybody on the Jets is pretty much bad. Everybody on the Falcons is pretty much bad. I mean, it's kind of hard to start anybody if your name's not Bijan Robinson, right?
Yep. Bijan just got volume. He was poop too,
Yeah,
but Jets'
yeah, he
defense is still
wasn't.
good. Imagine if their offense was good.
Yeah, I mean he wasn't great. Bijan wasn't
You're
great,
gonna start him
but
though.
I mean he's like the only one that you can really start. I mean I benched Brees Hall, and I benched him in a league this week because I just wasn't confident. I mean I had him in another league. Don't want to kill him in both, so I was like, let me just put him in the bench, and it worked out for me. So I might end up doing it again next week.
If you're New York Jets, do you consider lowering the load on Brees Hall and just running the snot out of Dalvin Cook these last couple weeks? Like just real life
I mean,
football question. Like I would consider
I
it.
mean, I consider it, but I mean, if you're Brees Hall, I mean, I don't want to say Brees Hall won't let you, but Brees Hall kind of wants to play. I mean, it's kind
Yeah.
of hard for a player to sit on the bench, and you
I
don't
mean, he'll
want to
play, but just get
make.
like the Dalvin Cook load.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, I wouldn't try to. I mean, I wouldn't run him into the ground, honestly. But I mean, you're still going to get the same amount of carries every week that he has been.
Trevor's mean. I
Next,
need one.
so yeah, next game we got Lions and Saints, and another good game. Lions got jumped out huge. Saints ended up coming back. So first thing I want to talk about. I think I'm willing to say this here. I might go out on a limb. I don't know how much of a limb it is, but I think I would be willing to say going into next season, I might be drafting Sam Laporta as my tight end one going into next season. How do you think about that?
I love that. I still won't do it, but he's my favorite tight end. I love Sam Laporta. Like a doofus, I benched Sam Laporta right before game day for A-Chan, but it did hurt me. But he's my favorite. Like in Dynasty, I will give up my soul for Sam Laporta right now. Like I can't get him, but he's one of my favorite players right
Yeah,
now. I think I've been on the train, about 2 months I've been hooting and hollering about Sam Laporta.
yeah. I mean, he's been really good. Also, really good. Kamara's also been solid. Another good game. Somehow Taysom Hill continues to score points. So we're starting Taysom Hill especially if he's got like a tight end designation. We're
Yeah,
starting
Mister
Taysom Hill every.
Mister, I started Juwan Johnson. Maybe should have picked up Taysom Hill instead when Dalton Schultz was hurt, but nope. Dalton Schultz scores as many points as Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, that's tough. So yeah, I guess we're starting. Of course, Derek Carr gets hurt again. Jameis comes in. He threw some pretty sketchy passes. I can't see Jameis being too trusted going in with his offense if he has to play.
Yeah.
Next game, we got Broncos and Texans. Broncos almost find a way to come back and win this game. How they do every year. The offense was still bad. Sutton had a decent game. Judy another stinker. Running game, But as far as Texans go, this is what I want to talk about. This is pleasure and pain. This is pleasure and pain at the most pleasure and pain you can get, right? So we get Nico Collins going completely bonkers, right? 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, looking like a stud wide receiver one. And then Tank Dell breaks his tibula, one of them.
Right there on the line.
Obviously
Too.
done for the season. So going into next season, does drafting Tank Dell high, does this change that, or does he maintain this going into next season?
I mean, what were we thinking? Tank Dell is what, 20? 21? Like,
I don't know the way
16,
the way
20?
he was playing.
The way he was playing.
The way he was playing. I mean, I've seen it was like top 15 wide receiver.
I mean, wide receivers are so strong. You got the two from the Eagles and Dolphins, and I'm just thinking like where he would fall. This is the next big two. I mean, I'd consider it because he'll be healed up.
So who you draft?
This is for you.
So who you drafted first, Nico or Tank Dell?
Ask me in January. Right now, Nico's been on fire. I've got tons of Nico, so I'll say Nico. Like this is. Dear Bourbon Bowl, if you're listening, all of you that wouldn't take Nico for $15 in draft cash before the season. Hey, I gotta live on something.
We can do that every.
Yeah,
we can do that every year.
Or
about
Puka for
$7
$1
players in every draft. I mean, we all have that. But yeah, I mean, you're able to do that. But I mean, we all have.
No one would take him. I was like, man, okay.
Nico Collins went for like $15 probably in every fantasy draft.
Well, no, I drafted him for $1. I tried to get draft cash for him, and nobody's like, I was like, yeah, I didn't see this
Yes, I
coming.
mean
I didn't think he'd be this good.
he probably went like that in a lot of drafts. A lot of people can probably say that. Next game, there's absolutely nothing going on here except for injury.
Oh.
Chargers Patriots could be the worst game of the season, possible. Could be worse than the Minnesota Chicago game from the other night. Uh, so the Chargers, Herbert, pretty disappointing. That's back to back weeks, pretty disappointing here. Eckler, definitely disappointing, kind of out on Eckler at the moment. Keenan Allen, not a very good game. I think the biggest news here is Ramondre Stevenson might be out for the season, right?
I've heard a couple weeks. I haven't heard season yet. And it could have changed during the time I looked at it. They were saying it could be multiple weeks, so they haven't said season yet. But then again, it's 4 weeks, right? 5 weeks. We're in week 13, so 5 weeks of the season. So it depends upon what New England's thinking. Like, hey, should we just use up Zeke because he's on this short contract, and we want Ramondre to be our foundation with the new quarterback next year? Could be
That's going to hurt. He was starting to play a little better too. It's not going to hurt fantasy managers, of course. I mean, obviously, the top running back goes down at this point. It's going to hurt because they've been going down all year. They can't last. Are we interested in Zeke filling in there? Or are we just kind of skipping out?
If you look at Zeke's, I mean, you're not going to be like, hey, Zeke's going to replace Derrick Henry next week. But I mean, this week he still had 4 for 40 receiving, 1752 rushing. It's not astronomical, but.
So would you do Tajay Spears or Ezekiel Elliott?
I'd have to. Who do the Patriots play next week? I'd probably go Z. They're playing the Steelers, who just lost. I would take Zeke by a hair, probably just because I know what Zeke can do, and the Patriots are just going to run because their quarterbacks are so bad. Whereas they might depend on Levis a little more without Henry. They'll use Tajay Spears, and he looks good, but.
All right. Speaking of Cardinals, we got Cardinals with the win over the Steelers.
Yeah.
With your boy Dortch on the targets kind of disappeared here. So he had a kind of a bum game. Pickett goes down with it. Pickett goes down with an ankle injury, not really hurting too many people. He wasn't starting anyway. I don't think it really changes anybody on that offense with Trubisky coming in. I think it pretty much just stays the same. And I think I might have found my tight end 2 going into next year in Trey McBride. This guy, if Kyler Murray is back on the Cardinals, and if the Cardinals win more games, they're not going to be able to get a quarterback. And if Kyler Murray comes back, he seems to like this guy an awful lot. He looks like their number 1 receiving option. This guy could be my tight end 2 next year. What do you think?
You're insane. He's in my top 5. I like Trey McBride. I like the Kyler Perry.
So hold on. So what you're telling me, I'm insane, even though he's a top 5 tight end, but he can't finish number 2?
You're saying who am I going to rank number 2? I'm not going to rank. I mean, next year it's still Mark Andrew. It's still going to be Kelsey and Andrews, and then it'll be Laporte and McBride.
I mean, I can't do. I mean, if Kelsey continues playing like this the whole year, I can't put Kelsey as my number 1 tight end.
Well, Taylor Swift will be broken up by then. She'll be out of the picture. And there won't be any problems.
I mean, maybe that is 100%, but at this point, the numbers are going down. The offense doesn't look as good. His age is going up. I don't know if he finishes strong like the old Travis Kelsey, I might move him back up. But I mean, he's kind of declining. He's not on the up end. He's on the decline end.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
but he's still good. I mean, I'm not.
But yeah, I think you could convince me to put Laporte higher. McBride, I'm starting to really, I love Laporte. I was willing to trade Laporte.
By next season, we will be in agreement with top 2 tight ends.
Andrews might be my sticking point. I love me some Mark Andrews when he comes back.
All right, next game we got the Dolphins and Commanders. Absolute butt whipping. Tyreek Hill kills it. Jalen Waddle. I'm still disappointed in Jalen Waddle. He had a big drop. He had the big game last week, but then falls back. I'm still highly disappointed in Jalen Waddle. I don't think I can really, going into next year, be drafting him over someone like Devonta Smith. I think I'm taking Devonta Smith over Jalen Waddle at this point going into next week. But what I really want to talk about is Achane. I feel like he got most of his carries after they were up a little bit,
Mhm.
so he
Oh
started.
yeah, oh,
But
100%.
he did get to 17. So going into next week, this does make me feel confident that maybe the old A chain could be back.
I think yeah. He looked at the beginning of the game. I was like, wow, they're not going to use him much. He got a little bit. He was used more, almost like a decoy, and he saw him move. And then I had I got the pleasure of going to see my daughter sing. So I recorded the last half and watched it through. And I had it recorded as I'm walking out. My father-in-law goes, "Oh, congratulations on your 45-15 win." I was like, "Come on, man!" I hadn't seen it yet, but but yeah, he got the 2 touchdowns, and they last week they set him out because it'd be too short, and apparently McDaniels is going to be smart with injuries. Like if you haven't had a chance yet, watch Hard Knocks. It is the Dolphins are so much fun. If it wasn't, I've seen the Dolphins on Hard Knocks before and I hated it, but McDaniels is just spectacular. I could watch that dude do anything. On a
All
side
right,
note,
next game, Panthers and Bucks. Bucks
isn't
looked
Brian
okay.
Robinson hurt too on the side? As sorry, before
Oh
we jump.
yeah, I did. I even had that written down here. Brian Robinson does. It's a hamstring that could be pretty bad. That could linger.
Get
Hammies
Gibson, get
suck.
Gibson.
So are we on the Gibson train?
Gibson was my only commander in my DraftKings showdown with the Dolphins and Commanders. So he was my guy, and I mean he'll get the catches if nothing else. And they're not playing. They're not going to get rolled. I mean, the Dolphins beat the snot out of bad teams. The Commanders are a bad team. They're playing the Rams next week. Nothing spectacular. Then the Jets, so it'll be tough sledding. Then the 49ers and the Cowboys. They get a rough end of the year. Holy cow. But he's going to get catches. They'll be behind. So I'd pick him up. Now,
All right.
he's in that mix. Tajee Spears, him or Zeke. I'd look
Yeah,
at
I think
Matthew.
he would be. I think he would be number 3 on that list, probably. I think.
I think they're tight.
Oh yeah. I think they're all close. So next game we got Panthers and Bucks. Have we seen the death of Adam Thielen here?
Hasn't he been dead for a month?
I mean, man, I don't know, but he always pops up out of nowhere. Maybe there's no more popping out of nowhere for Adam Thielen.
Is it the death of Adam Thielen or the ascension of Mingo? Thielen still had 6 targets. He just didn't get it. The Panthers are so bad that's what's killing him, and they're going to have to start looking. Do we probably because they're going to want to see what the young guys can do? Because is Thielen a Panther? I think he probably signed a 2-year contract. I would assume. I don't know off the top of my head, but are they going to keep him next year? I don't know.
I can't. 34 years old. I can't imagine. This team's trying to get better. They're trying to get younger. I mean, I feel like they would probably have to move on. Mike Evans, 10,000-yard season, just absolutely killing it. Mike Evans, Hall of Famer, right?
I gotta be best
be.
trade I made this year. I was off the Mike Evans train many years, and this year something like the beginning of the year, I was like, I think Mike Evans, and all of a sudden my boy Baker started.
Yeah, Baker doesn't have great. Baker doesn't have great games.
He loves Mike Evans.
But he loves Mike Evans. That is for sure.
He doesn't like anybody else. Trey Palmer usually, but Trey pooped the bed, and then Chris Godwin, all he can do is run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he did get that rushing touchdown.
I got points for him.
Next game, we got 49ers and Eagles. This definitely did not go the way I had anticipated, even though I am a fan of how it turned out. 49ers absolutely crushed them. We'll go with a pain for Swift. Been struggling the last couple weeks. Is he falling down your rankings, or is he kind of like staying steady?
Let's see what happens when it's not the 49ers. Like I mean, the last couple of games have been the 49ers, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and they've got decent run defenses, and that's when you would fall. So Swift, looking into next year, I'm not even sure was he a top 12 before, or I don't know. Like he's got to be sinking because next week he gets the Cowboys. I mean, luckily he's going to go up everybody's rankings because their last 3 games are Giants, Cardinals, Giants. If you have Eagles in the playoff games, holy moly! Your semifinal and championship game are the Giants and the Cardinals. Swift is on my team and AJ Brown a lot. Thank you.
49. I want to apologize to Debo. I've never been a fan of Debo. Evidently, Debo is the best player on that team. Shout out to you. But what I really want to talk about is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. I mean, he's He's been an absolute, I don't want to say a surprise. I think he's been way better than what honestly people have thought. So going into the next season, is Brock Purdy going to be drafted as a top 10 quarterback?
No, he will not, but he should be because he's Brock
So is
Purdy.
he like Kirk? So is he like Kirk Cousins?
Right now, let's see. Let's put it this way: if they win
So
the
is he
Super
the
Bowl,
new?
it might change.
Is he the new Kirk Cousins? Like Kirk Cousins fell out. So are we saying it's
The
not
Mendoza
Kirk
line.
Cousins anymore? It's the Brock Purdy guy that's always like drafted 13th but finishes fifth.
I could see that. I mean, he does have some stinkers, but yeah,
I mean, they all do.
they all do. Yeah, I really like. I see that. Like, should he be a top 10? Probably. I haven't looked in depth into it. I mean, you got the running quarterbacks usually the top five. That you have a couple of, but yeah, I think he should be. I think he's going to hit like 12, 13. So yeah, Kirk Cousins. That's a great analogy because I mean, if these aren't Kirk Cousins numbers, I mean, 19 touchdowns through 13 games. That's what 1.3 a game, 1.3 a game, or something like that. That's Kirk Cousins type numbers. So he could be, but people don't dislike him. Like for some reason, people hated Kirk Cousins. I don't know why. It's a weird thing in the industry.
I think the hate for Kirk Cousins, I think, came later in his career. I think people liked Kirk Cousins
Minnesota,
in the
yeah.
beginning. But I think after a while he never won the big game, and I think that's when people started hating
Monday nights. Monday nights were bad.
Yeah. So we got the Rams and the Browns. I mean, the Rams, pretty much everybody was solid here. I mean, going into next week, we're just going to start everybody. Where all the Rams were starters, right?
Except for Royce Freeman, I started him this week. That's how bad my running back room is in our league. In our one league, I had no warm running back, and I accidentally forgot. I thought I changed out one guy, but I had to start Royce Freeman because I had no running backs. They're all on buys. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he got one carry, the lowest count he's had. Yeah, oh yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, Cooper snuck in that touchdown. If he didn't catch that touchdown, dude, he only had 30-some odd yards.
So let's say in a redraft league, is Puka going higher than Cooper Kupp next year, right?
Oh yeah, I bet you Cooper will get drafted too high because he's Cooper Kupp. Cooper should be a wide receiver 3 out of respect. He's going to get drafted 21, 22 probably. Puka's out. He's probably in that, 12, 13, unless they do something stupid like get a new quarterback. I don't know.
All right, all you, buddy.
Kyron Williams. Oof.
Another good game.
Another one.
Surefire waste of a touchdown.
I just want to apologize. I'm just sad. I've only got 3. It was that kind of a week. Teams scored.
It was that kind of week.
I was like, man, I was asking you before the show, does Harrison Bryant count as one? I was like, it just feels dirty. I don't know. If the Browns score, it's a surefire waste of a touchdown. Let's be honest. I mean, Jerome, but I got 3. One's a repeat, one's a new team, and they have 2 repeats. So, and one's a every year repeat. So we have a 6-yard pass from Derek Carr. Oh, baby, Chris Olave. I banked everything on him not playing. Nope. Taysom Hill always scores. He did. He killed it. No, it's Grandpa. Jimmy Graham with another touchdown this year. He deserves it because no one has him on their team unless they're a Saints fan and they only draft Saints players in an all Saints league. But that is definitely a
surefire waste of a touchdown. The fact that Jimmy Graham is still putting up points 2023. He scored a touchdown today, and I was like, I have no idea. Congratulations, Jimmy Graham.
Barely points, I would say, for the season. But let's go. This is one of our favorite surefire waste of a touchdown characters. 20-yard pass from Desmond Ridder. We have Kyle Pitts, who I had to start this week begrudgingly. No, Drake London.
He did have yards. He had like 50 yards.
He did. I got points finally, but Drake London did not give me points. He is a big pile of bed poop. Everybody, Bijan was okay-ish. Nope, it was Michael Pruitt. He's been here a bunch, but every time he scores, it's still going to be a
surefire waste of a touchdown because you're only going to hear his name at that point.
These are making me cough because they're so bad. The last one I love because I missed this guy. He used to be on my dynasty team. 7-yard pass from Matthew Stafford. We said Kupp got one, so that wasn't it. When Puka got one, that made me happy. No. DeMarcus Robinson, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. He might be the number one receiver on the Chiefs if he was still there. They're so bad. But I didn't even know he was a Ram. I'll be 100% honest. I forgot. I knew it at some point, but I had no clue he was a Ram. So that makes that a
surefire ways to the touchdown, and he is not better than Rashee Rice, so he would not
okay.
be
Yeah, I'll give
the
you that.
wide receiver.
He'd be two. He'd be two.
Yeah.
He'd be two.
Wide receiver. I'll give you a wide receiver.
Okay, Taylor Swift, she might be two. Then we'll put so dude, that's it. I was like, I almost was going to cancel the segment, but I just want to throw three in there. So give us some wisdom. Let's get out and let's do it.
You can't cancel the segment. People look forward to it, even if we can put one in.
Both of those guys would get mad.
We got to do it. And my words of wisdom. I just want to speak on the disservice of what the NCAA has done to the Florida State Seminoles. It's mind-boggling that this can still happen in 2023. And I want to say professional sports because I consider college football, a professional sport. This should not be happening. A playoff should not consist of only 4 teams. Now, next year they are moving to 12. But like I said, it is 2020. It is 2023, and whether or not Florida State lost their starting quarterback, which does hurt them a lot, they still won. They went undefeated. I think an undefeated team in one of the Power 5 conferences has got to be in over a one-loss team. I do not care if it's Alabama or not. So as always,
but wait, I got one more before you close this out.
Go ahead.
My favorite one. Liberty University playing Oregon on New Year's Day. Little Liberty in Virginia. If they win, I might go bonkers on that day. That's my daughter's dream school. But that's
I mean,
I was surprised.
If they win, we will go bonkers. But Liberty, I mean, how far does Oregon fell when just like a week ago they were playing for the national championship and now they're playing for Oregon? See, this is the problem. Next year, Oregon would be this. If it was next year, Oregon would be in the playoffs because you got the 12 teams.
Next year, James.
Yeah, this should have happened years ago. I just don't understand why college football can't get their head out of their butt. So, as always, trust yourself and trust the process.